So Rodrigo Togores,
Yeah,
a well-known legacy and vintage player. Am I right? Or
yeah, more or less.
more or less, and a Yu-Gi-Oh player still, or you're not playing anymore?
No, I don't play since 2015.
Okay, and Magic. When did you start Magic, actually? Do you remember?
I started playing Magic on um, I don't remember the year. 99.
99. Okay, that's great. What edition was that? Do you remember?
Mercadian Mascus.
Okay, great. And so you are a well-known Storm player for most in Legacy, I guess. At
Yeah.
least nowadays. I know you're playing Serval decks, but you're the most known for Storm. What
Yeah.
was the choice behind it? Was it that you always loved the mechanic right when it came out, or?
I have always played Storm since. So when Mercadian Mascus came out, I didn't play just in the school, but
Mhm.
I started playing like in 2004. That was the time I started playing tournaments.
Okay.
And I started playing Storm because they are killing people with tenders is always great.
Yeah, of course, of course. So you playing Storm also in Vintage when you play Vintage, or?
Yeah, I only played Vintage at that time, just
Okay.
with a budget deck because Vintage was the only format played in my store. And I built a weird Storm deck with, I don't have Moxen or Black Lotus or so, I just had Mox Diamond, Chrome Mox, Lion's Eye Diamond, and tried to make the best of it.
And today, do you own a P9 or not? For
Yeah,
Vintage?
yeah. I got it not I got it in 2006 or 7 or so.
Okay. So
And
it
then
was not
sold
as
it.
high priced as today, for example?
Yeah, it's for sure not.
Yeah.
But it was higher than when I bought it the second time because I paid more or less 400 euro each MOX, more or less. And then when I came back to the game and got it again, there was 200 each.
Wow.
Because vintage was really powerful there, lots of big tournaments, and then it got down, and then the collectors started buying, and then it got up again, and now you have to pay like 8,000 euros to buy a Core 9.
Yeah, at least, and it's mostly in very poor condition for this price. So it's very sad. Are there still vintage tournaments in your area? You're in Madrid, that's right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we play at least one tournament each month.
Wow, that's pretty rare because I know in France to find some vintage tournament that is really purely vintage and not only like proxy tournaments. I have nothing against them. I don't own any P9. But yeah, it's absolutely rare. Of course, there's the Bazaar of Moxen, where you've been also this year, but otherwise, there's nothing here.
Yeah, we allow 10 proxies at our tournaments each
Okay.
month, which is more or less so that everyone can play. So you can have all the cards, just not the Power 9, and you can play.
Yeah, that's already pretty nice, I think. So because I personally am very attracted to the vintage game, but I simply can't afford it. You know, I own the legacy cards, but I
Yeah.
don't own any P9 or anything. So, but the style of the game, I mean, like your opening hand is almost you can cast everything, but the decisions are just so many. The sequencing almost in every deck is so completely different. Also, when I came from modern actually at first. Well, I started out the game earlier than you. I started, I think, in the third edition at school. So it was pretty early on. And I remember I was in Germany, and like the Black Lotus was on sale for, if I remember it well, it was like 20 Deutschmarks. So that would be like about 10, 15 euros at the shop, you know. And I remember it like a little kid, but Black Lotus at the time was nothing. It was good, but I mean, as a little boy, you don't care what is good. You want to have fun with big creatures, you know.
Yeah, also my first trade is what a scarlet worm for a Sengi vampire in the school,
Yeah.
which was not great, but yeah, what's better? A
Happens.
smart creature with flying or a 7/6 for 8?
Yeah. It's good memories. Yeah, so what I wanted to say, I came from modern already, so Legacy was kind of expensive. I had a friend who gave me the cards to play just, and so I owned several now dual lands and everything, but Vintage, I'm not ready to pay for it. But I love the game style. I love looking at tournaments and stuff, so it's pretty interesting. Do you prefer
Yeah,
Vintage actually over Legacy, or do you like them the same?
depending on the time on the format.
Okay.
So sometimes I prefer legacy, sometimes I prefer vintage, sometimes I prefer modern, depending on how much fun or how the format is at this moment.
Let's say today, what do you prefer with the changes that we had in Legacy? I guess this question you had 1,000 times at least till the since the ban of Sensei's Divining Top.
I
So
think I prefer to play legacy nowadays because
okay.
vintage there's a big problem lately. So mentor is strong, and I would like to restrict mental misstep because that card is really stupid. And then the how it's called
Vehicle or
no, the problem is that the mat decks and the Eldrazi decks
yeah.
they do the same but on a different axis,
Mm-hmm.
so that your sideboard cannot be built to beat both at the same time. And so, for example, against mat deck, you want just artifact removal, but against Eldrazi, you need creature removal. And then sometimes your opponent start playing spheres over spheres, and your sideboard is full of Path to Exile and removal, so that they just lock you out. And that's that. The I think the Eldrazi's are a bit messed up.
So do you think that because I know your famous video on your YouTube channel about Eldrazi, and I think it's pretty funny. Do you think Eldrazi is more skill intensive in Vintage than in Legacy, or is it the same for you?
I think it's almost the same. The problem is that in vintage you get more. What's the word? If you take a wrong decision, it hurts you a lot more
Yeah, of course.
because the cards are so powerful that making a mistake is really that you're dead. In
Yeah.
Legacy, sometimes yes, sometimes no, but running something into days is not the end of the world.
Yeah.
If you, I didn't play it around days if I could. Yeah, sometimes you tap out and your opponent plays show and tell and you don't have enough mana to pay his spell pierce. But Legacy, the cards are less powerful, so you don't die on the spot.
Okay. Yeah. See, seems right. Seems right on. So, for the legacy format, do you feel it's like more open now to Storm? Because I know I read a lot of articles before the GP Vegas actually, and that it was there were very many combos. So actually, a lot of decks like the fair decks, like Delver and stuff, all sided pretty hardcore against all the combo decks of the field. Not only Storm, but like Show and Tell and stuff. Do you feel more confident today to go to tournament with Storm than with Miracles before, or at least comfortable maybe?
So the biggest problem there is that people have changed their sideboard cards for miracles, for cards against combo. The decks are in better position, just the other decks had also gotten better. So your combo sideboard is better because you don't have to play 8 or 9 cards against miracles, but also the sideboards of your opponents are better against you. And usually the problem with any combo deck is that your deck is linear.
course.
So if they have everyone that wants to beat a combo deck will do it because it's easier than beating any other. So if you have 4 Mimbrick traps and 4 Ether Storm Canonists, you are gonna defeat Storm all days. If you and the same for any other combo deck.
Yeah, of course.
That hurts really a lot.
Yeah, because I know you wrote on the Facebook group of Ad Nauseam Tendrils. I will link this in the video. So for those who don't know this group, it's well, you're in it, and basically every Storm player that has a little reputation in other people, and so it's pretty interesting. You always said that Miracles wasn't that bad of a matchup while it was existing.
Miracles wasn't that bad until they started playing Predict, because I like it to play the grinding station plan against them, just try to overwhelm them. But when they started playing a lot of Fluster Storms and Predict, so they never had to tap out. They just keep drawing cards with Predict at the end of your turn with a tapping out. That was not a great matchup then. Also, the player was important.
Yeah, I think Miracles, it's even more today, I think, with the topless Miracles, but the old Miracles version, it was a skill-intensive deck. I mean, it was a very good deck. It had it had only good matchups. You know, it was very stable against the field, but you had to know how to pilot it. It wasn't for a beginner, for example, because a bad Miracles player, well, it's very hard to go.
You know? Yeah, so playing any control deck is difficult. The problem is that the Miracles, sometimes you have this free wins because you drop turn 1 top, turn 2 counterbalance, or your card was so strong and Sensei Divinity Top was so great in any position of the game that it was hard to lose. So you could lose, and your opponent, if they know how to play against you, you will, but you have so many I win cards that it was not the best in the world to play against.
Yeah, of course. And it was very slow, so it was sometimes it could get a little bit annoying. I mean, when you're seeing like 4 or 5 Miracles opponent in a tournament, and you know it will go long at least when you start the second game. So it was annoying also, I think.
Yeah, so there are 2 or 3 decks that are used to draw in a tournament. One is Miracles, the other is High Tide.
Yeah.
And the other is some kind of Blade deck, because Blade is slower than Miracles at winning, because Miracles there is one moment where it controls the game and in 6 turns of doing nothing, it wins. But Blade, sometimes you have to play this game of, I killed your Battle Skull, I kill it again, you bounce, you play, I kill it again, you're at 50 life, I kill it again. So this happened a lot, and yeah, these decks are used to go into the draw bracket, but you could also play Miracles pretty fast. The problem is when a player was not fast at it, they had to take decisions, and when they look at with the top or with any cantrip, they didn't know what they were searching for.
Yeah.
They just, I'm gonna look at 3 cards. Oh, what do they do? I'm gonna think. And then you have to get muscle memory to play this. And you have to know, when you look with the top, you know what is going to happen. So you have to know before you look at the card. You know, if I see a land, I'm going to keep. If I see a terminus, I'm going to keep. If I see this, I'm going to shuffle. If I see this, I'm going to put on top. So you have to know before, but that's something you have to learn, and it's not easy.
Yeah, of course. I think I don't know how your position is on this. On the topless Miracles deck now, I found it quite interesting because at least you have the impression you have even more to do with Portent the card and stuff. So you are constantly doing something, you know, because with the old version with top on the table, even though you, as a Miracles player, you did a lot by looking at your cards, but for the opponent, it always seemed that you're doing a bunch of nothing, basically. So I think the new one is pretty interesting also. Not as stable, of course, but...
Yeah, and so you end up turtling a lot, and but you're doing things. Sometimes they bring you nowhere, but sometimes you have to do is your
Engine, yeah.
engine. So that's your game plan, and you have to work like so. So
Yeah. What are today, or what was in Vegas, the matchups that you preferred, and what were the matchups you feared maybe a little bit, where you're not very comfortable with the change of the meta game and stuff?
so I would prefer to play against blade decks or shardless, but they're not really played a lot nowadays. Burn is also like a buy. I played against one burn player and he just got destroyed pretty easily. I even Blue Red Devil is also good against him. He dropped it at turn 2 Peristatic Pillar, and I killed him. I killed him through the pillar without even destroying or bouncing it. I just go ritual, let Passing Flames. Ritual tenders you because the Passing Flames and the tenders doesn't trigger the pillar.
Yeah.
So I ended up at 1 life and he was dead.
That's nice.
And then the one I most feared was like the Black Red Reanimator.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it just wins. I was pretty lucky at the GP. I played 2 times against Reanimator, one Black Red and one Blue Black, and I beat both.
Okay.
Because my opponent didn't have like the nuts hands of turn 1 or turn 2 with discard or and one game I was able to mind trick my opponent to force something that was not relevant. But there are hard matchups. And so if your opponent gets a bit lucky and knows what to do, it's not easy to beat.
Yeah, I think the key is actually one of my neighbors is the French Legacy champion of 2015, and he won the cup with Storm. He always played Storm and loves to play Storm. And I trained a lot against him because knowing how to beat Storm is really the key in the matchup. Because I think when you don't know the deck or how it operates and what is important to counter depending on the situation, you basically can't really win if you don't understand how the deck is working. And it takes a bit of time, I think, to structure it all in your head how he wants to do things, you know.
Yeah, it's not easy because the problem about Storm is one of the reasons I like it is that it's not like show and tell deck that you always know you have to counter the show and tell or the sneak attack. In the Storm deck, the fun thing is that they don't know what's your choke point. Sometimes if they counter attack ritual, they kill you. Sometimes if they counter a brainstorm, they die. You die. Sometimes they have to save their force for the Infernal Tutor at the end. Sometimes not. Sometimes yes. They never know because usually you have perfect information and they don't. And not always are the cards the same. The same. Sometimes your opponent has like 2 Force of Wills, 2 blue cards, and you just play Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual, and the Cabal Ritual is really important because you have the tendrils in hand, and then you play Therapy, and they force, then you tendrils them and kill them, but they don't know what's the card that they have to counter. If your opponent has not 1 counter for each card in your hand, you can always win.
Yeah, so definitely. I think
enough lands and they have 6 counters, you can play 6 good cards. And if your last card is Passing Flames, you kill them.
Yeah, of course. That's always the problem that I had in the last tournament. I only played against 1 Storm player, and I was with Sneak and Show, and it was game 2, and he had like 4 cards still in hand, and I had a Flusterstorm and an active Force of Will with another blue card. So it's very intense because you know if they have tendrils and you fluster before and they have some kind of pedal or something to go off afterwards, you're dead. You know, it's kind of a weird feeling that your hand is actually very good, but if you counter the wrong thing, you're dead. And
Yeah.
I personally I hate force of will in even though it can be very good, but I don't like force of will against Storm. I don't know why. I think it's the loss of card advantage and the easy target for a Cabal therapy because it's basically one of the main targets you will probably hit against the blue deck. I prefer like spell pierce and things like that that are not losing me another card, you know? Because it's always important also for you as a Storm player to know if you don't have perfect information about your opponent's hand, what they could possibly have in the card that they're left with. So
Yes. So for me, the worst that my opponent do is play a lot of different kind of cards, like playing Spell Pierce, Flusterstorm, Invasive, then play Graveyard Hate, then play discard. So with nowadays the decks are cool like so, but in the past usually decks relied only on counter spells to beat the storm, which is not enough. So just having counter spells is not. You need to attack on at least 2 axes to beat them. You have to have counter spells and some permanent hate or a clock and counter spells. You have to beating a combo deck is always like having 2 pieces. With just one thing, you are not gonna defeat them. And with if they have different things, you never know what to do against them because your therapy is not so good. Your duress is worse if they play things like Canonist or Medley Mage. And then you will have to side in cards like Abrupt Decay, but then you draw your Abrupt Decay and they have counters and not something to destroy. So that's the worst for you. But you have just to. So that's Magic. If all games are the same, that's not really fun.
yeah, of course. Now a question: do you keep still the green splash in your Storm build today? Do you still play green for like Zambit Swarm or Abrupt Decays in your sideboard?
Yes, nowadays I play one Santis Swarm and 2 DKs. I started cutting it, but then the Miracles deck came up and you needed something to kill Canonist. And then you also needed something to kill Leovold. And the Abrupt Decay in this matchups is the best. I only play one green land, but I don't want Abrupt Decay against Wasteland decks. So one green source is pretty good. And then I like one Sunset Swarm because you want to play one card of this kind in your deck, like having the 7th discard. It's like having a 7th Duress against Show and Tell. So just when you draw it, it's much better.
Of course, of course. So what today? I would like to know what are your favorite cards in your Storm deck. What is the card you really like to see? Not only on the situation. What is your favorite card in the deck? Do you have one?
So I like Tenders, but I think the card that I would most likely like to draw in my opener every game is Gitaxian Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just a busted card. So every hand with Probe and Brainstorm, I think it's really good. With Probe, you play it on turn 1, you see what's up, you see if you have a strong hand, you see if you can go off, if not. So you take decisions on, if you're on the play, you never know if you need to ponder or duress first. But Gitaxian Probe lets you, because something if you're playing against a Delver deck, you want to ponder. But if you are playing against, for example, Eldrazi, you want to duress them for the Chalice. And the Probe just gives you all the information.
Mm-hmm.
I really hate the card. I think it should be banned in Legacy. I think it's a really bad card. You don't like to play against it. It makes the game less fun.
Yeah, I
But
think always you're feeling almost kind of violated, when somebody probes you and you feel all naked because your hand is lying down and they have perfect information about what's going on.
I think it's not really great, and I'm pretty sure it will be banned in the future because it's not nice to let your opponents know that for free that you have nothing, because Magic is a game of hidden information and bluffing, and then just for free giving your opponent the information and the card is not really fun. I think I don't like the card, so I think it's better for bad players than for good players. A good player will be able to still win, but a bad player with the perfect information will have a huge edge on it.
Do you think Storm will be, not for you, but maybe for other people, more difficult to pilot if they would ban Gitaxian Pro?
So it will be more difficult because you have to guess a lot of times if you can go off more often than no, or you have to pay 1 mana to play a discard. And so the deck will play more discards for sure instead of probes. But that's maybe one turn you need to wait until you can go off. And sometimes one turn is a lot against some matchups. So I think that it will be more difficult, but it will, if just detection probe gets hit, it will adapt to whatever comes.
Yeah, I think also, yeah, definitely. But it would be more interesting with all the hidden information, I think, would give another dimension maybe to the game. Definitely.
So I prefer to have, for example, against Grixis, Delver, I prefer to have that no one has detection probes than both have them. Because they will see my hand more often, so they will know when to counter things and when to tap out and when not. Then I can live with it. I can live with having hidden information. I have a lot of discards in my deck, so I will see your hand in some moment. But knowing if you can tap out for this young pyromancer or you have to hold up spell pierce just for free is a huge edge in the matchup. So I prefer that no one has detection probe and try to outskill my opponent on this thing than not.
Yeah, I think it's a very important point that you mentioned the skill. I know we in our play group and in our team actually always promote the fact that in Legacy it's more about skill than about your deck. It's knowing your deck, it's knowing the matchups, it's knowing the card and how they interact. And yeah, I think it's very important if you don't have the information anymore to be more skilled than your opponent in order to get through whatever they throw at you. So yeah, definitely. I think you're absolutely right on this. So now to the sideboard. Do you have any weird ideas for a little spicy card right now for your Storm sideboard? Or maybe you don't want to talk about it. I don't know, but I know that you had like Sculling Scales. Was it the last card that like was kind of for most people? What's that? I tried it out, by the way. It was pretty funny.
It was not my idea, but the card did his job when you need it. But nowadays I'm not playing weird cards. I play Sudden Shock, I play one Anthem Grudge, I play Abrupt Decay, Sandstorm. So nothing really special. It's not easy to play weird cards because usually the weird plans of the deck is playing cards like creatures. When you find someone which is good, which usually works the first time but never more. But I don't think it's easier to. So your sideboard, you usually want just to have answers for your opponent's deck instead of changing your plan, because sometimes your plan in the sideboard is not good against them, and then your sideboard does nothing because you use the slots on other things.
Yeah, and of course, as you mentioned, combo decks work in a very similar way. Is it Storm? Is it Sneak and Show? You don't want to to dilute your deck too much because you need the consistency you have on game one in order to win also. It's not always about having all the answers in the world. If you have them all in your hand but nothing to combo off, you can't kill your opponent, and actually you will run out of answers before them, especially if you're playing against a creature-based deck and you're not playing any creatures. You might be dead before you know? So
Yeah. So, and it's usually it puts you in a hard position. For example, there was one time that they played Young Pyromancer in the sideboard. The
yeah.
problem is for falling Young Pyromancer, you have to play a lot of countries, but sometimes you don't draw them, and then you have your hand full of Dark Rituals, and you are not gonna waste a Dark Ritual to put a 1/1 elemental.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty bad trade.
Yeah, so, and this is never really worth. And with Mentor, it was good. The problem is that playing it on turn 2 or turn 3, it's different because then you have to play all the artifacts. And sometimes on turn 3, it's too slow. Your opponent already got to do something.
Yeah, of course. So now I just would like to know, what are your feelings about the two big storm decks? I know you're Ad Nauseam Tendrils player, and you tried out also in a streaming that is available on your Twitch channel. I will post the link also with TES, so the Brian Cook build of Storm. What do you think about that actually? Is it also your play style, or why do you prefer actually your end deck?
So I think it's on my YouTube more than on the Twitch because the Twitch gets erased after some days.
Okay.
But I play both decks. I like Anausa more because it gives you a better late game in general. Because the problem about test is while the game goes long, so you win easier at the start of the game. But if your opponent has a strong hand, it's more difficult to come back from it. And just having Covered Ritual and Past in Flames in your deck does a lot of things in the late game. But so it depends what you want to do. If you want to play fast games where it's decided everything in the first 5-6 turns, Test is better. If you want to try to grind your opponent out of everything, if the game goes long, and Nauseam is better. Both decks are more or less the same, and they are fine. Also, Test relies a lot on Empty the Warrens, which is a card I dislike a lot.
Do you play it actually main deck or no?
I played in the sideboard nowadays.
Yeah, because there was a trend when Miracles got banned that a lot of people put it again in the main deck.
Yeah, I was playing it in the main deck because Grixis was the most played deck after Miracles got banned. So I played in main deck because every time you play a tournament, you will play against 2 or 3 Grixis decks. So that was fine there. But then the metagame got back to the normal thing, and everyone plays any kind of deck. So you have not you have to play a deck that's good against everything.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I was never a fan because there were some weird builds like having Ad Nauseam and Tendrils in the same deck and Empty the Warrens and Past in Flames. I mean, your Ad Nauseam is just the worst spell in the world because you might kill yourself actually. So I think for the question that I asked you, what is your favorite card? I always thought that my favorite card in a Storm deck was always Past in Flames because I think it gave a whole nother dimension to the Storm build in Legacy. Being able to replay basically all your spells in your graveyard is very, very strong and helps you so much. As you said, it's very great card for late game, or even if you can cast it if you're going off very early and you don't have enough spells in your hand, but you have Past in Flames, it helps you win the game. But it's even a great top deck. How many times I have won just against Miracles or other decks where it's very slow and you top deck this card and you can replay all your spells because your opponent is out of gas. So it's a great card, I think.
Yeah, I think it's Pass of Blades is great. Also, I like the card a lot, and I think the they did a great push for the deck to when they printed it. So it's a great card in Legacy and in Modern.
Yeah, of course. Now,
So
for the tutor part, you're playing basically four Infernal Tutors in your deck, as always. What do you think about the Dark Petition or the Grim Tutor? I know you don't like the Grim Tutor, as do, well, most of the people now, but what do you think of both these cards? Would you include one of them or none of them?
so I don't like the Grim Tutor because I don't think it's really good. There are situations where it's better than any other card, but I'm not a fan. And then it's a huge problem that it's worse than Dark Petition when you reveal it to a Nausen, because Dark Petition is five life, while Grim Tutor on the P loop or on the Nausen it's 6 life always, which sometimes 6 life are a lot. And then there is the problem that it's white bordered, so I don't like to play white bordered cards.
Yeah, that's a whole nother subject, I think. I think if you're getting into these older formats and you really enjoy your deck, I think there are very quickly things you want to change, like the borders, like getting black border cards wherever you can. I mean, nowadays for dual lands, it's getting more and more difficult. I know you have a beautiful deck. I saw it several times on the coverage. Like you have only black border and everything is foil that you can get foil. Am I right? Or
Yeah, the Lotus Petals are not foil, but I don't like the promo ones.
yeah, me
But
neither.
they
I think.
could be foil.
Yeah, but the rest is foil. How long did it take you to get your deck to the aesthetic level of today?
So I'm still finishing it. Um, I I don't know. I needed a lot of years because most of the cards I won't get them in time, even before playing Storm. So I have the polluted deltas. I got them years ago, like the Dark Rituals, when I was playing Vintage back then. Then when I started playing, I got the Infernal Tutors, which now cost a lot of money, but then they were like 15 or 20 euros in foil. And sadly, last week I sold my foil polluted deltas. I downgraded them to cans of Tarkir because
Now you have to know you have lost all my respect.
yeah, there are two huge reasons behind this. One is that foil polluted deltas are the onslaught ones. Mine were in Spanish and not in English, like the rest of my deck, and they don't match with the borders of the other fetch lands of my deck because I play Misty Rainforest or Scalding Turn.
Yeah.
So I like that everything has the same border. That's also the reason I play and test Conspiracy Burning Wishes instead of Judgment. So my tutors have all the new borders. That's also the reason I play the DCI Mercadian Masks Brainstorm instead of the old ones, because they have the same border of the Preordain, the Ponder, or the Gitaxian Pros. And the reason behind it is that the cans deltas cost like 200 euros and the onslaught like 800. So I just traded mine for the new ones at 600 and something euros. So
yeah, of course.
It's a lot of money. There are cards that I got, most of my cards I got them really cheap back on the day, and now they cost a lot of money. So I don't like to do so, to have all this money in cards, in some cards that cost a lot. For example, a few months ago, I had a foil Japanese Scapeshift, which I bought for about 120 euros. And now they cost about this price each.
Okay.
I'm afraid that Modern will die in the future slowly And there are a lot of cards that they have that cost a lot of money,
Yeah.
and I don't want to have a huge collection of cards that I don't play in fear of the price going down. So I just sell them, and
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I think actually that modern is going more and more price point wise to legacy territory. You know, the decks, the total cost of the decks aren't that much different anymore. So it's actually kind of sad. And I think I don't know what you think. You're having a still a great collection of cards. You own vintage cards, legacy cards, modern cards, and whatever. But do you think if the prices would go down because of a lot of reprints or whatever, would you be bothered or would you be happy that new players could maybe get into legacy or vintage? I know there's the reserve list, that's not the topic. Just let's say the reserve list is gone and they can print everything into Oblivion. Would you be mad because you're losing money off your collection, or would you be happy that there are more players now that can get into the game?
so I will never be sad. I like to play. I don't care about tournament prices. I don't care about prices of cards. I
Mm-hmm.
just want to play. The more I can play, the better for me. And I will be happy if they reprinted each MOX for €5 each.
Yeah.
MOX and Black Lotus. If our vintage tournament is 100 people each week, I will be really happy about that.
Yeah, I think that's most players. I mean, we're of course we're kind of collectors because we like. I mean, you're a perfect example. You like your deck to be like the same border, so you have an aesthetic sense also with the game. But the most important thing is to be able to play the format you like and make it accessible and for other players, so that you have more opponents and the game gets more interesting.
Yeah, and the thing is that some cards will not go down in price because
Yeah.
people are gonna buy things. People keep buying beta duals. They can buy a white border or black border for less than a half of the price, and they keep buying. There's always someone who wants to play the original or has the spare money that instead of playing something the new cheap ones, they play the old ones. And even so, I don't care. I don't care if my cards cost nothing from today to tomorrow if I can play much more.
Yeah.
So I don't like to lose money, but I think it's fine. I don't buy the cards to resell them. So I play the card. I buy the cards to have fun with them, to play Magic, and that the card loses value is not something that bothers me because Magic is more or less the only hobby where you can invest money and get it back in the future, or even get more back in the future.
Yeah, I mean, it's more stable, the Magic finance world, especially with the old cards, than most other things like Wall Street or whatever, you know. I mean, if you invest into the Power Nine, you will get your money back at least, you know, even today. So it's crazy. I mean, there's nothing else in this world that I could think of where it's just certain that you're not losing money.
So at least in the short future, it's like so. So there are other cards you buy them and they cost more or they cost about the same. It's like Magic Online. You can buy a deck and then sell it for 5% less that you bought it, and you had like hours of fun with it and
Yeah.
play tournaments. So in real life, it's harder to sell because it needs more time, but you can sell everything, and still you don't care. Any other hobby, if you are doing, I don't know, what horse riding, for example, if you like to, you have to pay a lot of money each day, even if you have a horse of it, or if you don't, if you have to rent it. It costs a lot of money and it gives you absolutely nothing back, like zero, just the fun of doing it.
Yeah.
And in Magic, you can win tournaments with the cards. You can sell them and get your money back. So you're just investing, and people are so much centered on thinking that, oh, I need to get money back, I need to win money, I need to win money, and I don't think it's so. I play just for the sake of liking to play.
Yeah,
That's
of
other.
course. That's I think the fact, as you said in the beginning, with the collectors now entering the game for years now, actually entering the game, it really hurts the fact that, well, I mean, it's not easy. If you had to buy today, you don't own any cards, you have a friend that plays Legacy, you love the spirit of the format. I mean, it's not really accessible. I couldn't imagine myself today spending like 2,000 euros just just to play a deck. It's just it is a game. It's the best game in the world, maybe, but dropping so much money just to be able to play the format you like, I found it kind of sad. And I know in France, well, there was also big discussion in the US. They had problems like in a GP with counterfeit cards that are coming out of China and are getting better and better today. But I mean, I can get it why people would buy something. I'm not encouraging anything, especially not to resell them, because this is one thing I hate if you try to make money off things that were very cheap that are counterfeit and somebody else buys it and thinks they're real. But if it's just for the play, just be able to play, I can get behind the idea basically.
Yeah, so I don't encourage fake cards, but there are a thing, and it can be that in the future you cannot uh, know if a card is fake or real. And if in some moment they get to the point that the cards are not able to be different, then the card is real. If they get good,
Yeah,
I
of
hope
course,
it
of course.
never comes. But in the future, if they keep getting better and better, they will make real cards, and that's will
Yeah,
be a.
that's for sure. I think they are getting better and better. I mean, I had my old card shop. They received like an old fake Tundra. I think it was just so bad, And I saw what was it? I don't remember the card. A Snapcaster Mage that was fake, but you put it like beside a real one, you don't see the difference. You almost don't feel the difference. And when I'm saying feeling the difference, it's like touching everything on the card, and you feel like it's not exactly the same. It's basically the only difference.
Yeah, I think I got when there was a huge fake cards. I bought Lilianas of the Veil.
Mm-hmm.
I received, and I just put them on my box, and I didn't saw them strange. I saw something strange on them, but until Magical Market told us that there were fake cards coming out, I didn't check them. Then you just put them over another card, and the cut was different.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the biggest things to know if they were fake, which is one of the most stupid things for the people who make them, because just cutting the card to the right dimension is one of the easiest way.
Yeah, of course. The expensive thing is the printing, like the resolution of the image, the colors, the quality of the paper. I mean, the Magic card, the original ones, are very well made for a bit of paper, So that's the most.
Yeah, but I think there has to be a way to make the same kind of cards that Wizard does, because it's just money. Like Wizard has a bigger or stronger printing machine, but I'm sure you can invest more to copy it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not worth to do it, because the cost of the machine who fakes the cards cost more than what you are gonna get out of them.
Yeah, of course.
But I'm sure there is a way if you want to do so, because I'm pretty sure these Asian guys just use a huge printer that they have, and they just print cards. But I'm sure there is a machine that costs 10 times the one that they have, and they do a better resolution. But
Yeah, of
it's
course. And
not
again, I'm just saying it for the sake of the video. We're not encouraging any fake cards or nothing, but
no,
it
no,
just
sure not.
the problem is really the money today and the lack of supply of some cards that you need to play certain decks, and that's the only thing. I'm just making this very, very clear because I think we're on the same page here. But yeah, it's never good to buy counterfeits. But yeah, this is basically, I think the market is and the players are looking at more at the counterfeits more and more differently because they know, as you said, like there's never, I don't think there's going to be a real change in the Wizards of the Coast policy in regards of the reserved list and the cards that are never going to be reprinted. I would love to, but I don't think that in the near future there will be a change.
Yeah, I don't know. No, to I don't think maybe they will, but I think that's not a problem of it's just a problem of money. They will do if they need money, but each year they sell more and more and more, so they don't need this nowadays. Maybe if their sales will go down, they will do this, but I don't think so. With us is each year earning more money, and then they're doing the same price support, which is a big problem on the on the people I read online. That every year they win millions more than the last year selling Magic. And for example, for the Pro Tour, the prices are stupidly low for
Yeah,
other things like I don't know, Hearthstone or World of Warcraft or whatever. No one can make a life out of Magic because
yeah.
even Owen Turtenwald, which was one of the best players in the world or still is, he lives with his mother.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I mean, the pro player career in the Magic game is really almost living a poor man's life, and you're depending on other people. Whereas the Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast make so much money, as you said. It's kind of sad. I mean, it's also sad when I see Magic Online. I think the interface and the whole system, how it works, it's
Yeah, but
almost
that's other thing.
yeah. But
There's
I mean, it's just the you see a certain will. We want to make more money, but we're not gonna invest so much more into the game like prize pools and all this. That makes them basically also the game live. I mean, the Pro Tour is very important to promote the new sets and stuff. But yeah,
so every day more players start playing Magic Online, even if it's crap the interface, which is okay, and and they don't want to be it better because they want to people play with paper cards. If everyone just plays Magic Online because it's better, the paper cards will go down, and the magic of Magic is that you play with paper cards,
yeah, of
not
course.
that you play online, because it's more fun to go to your friend's house and play, and go to a tournament and play.
Yeah,
And there are
it's a
lots of
social
shops.
experience.
Yeah, but there are lots of shops in the world that live because of Magic. They sell other kinds of things, but they are Magic shops that sell other kinds of things.
Yeah.
And if the game starts being better online than in real life, it will go down, and people will stop going to shops, and the shops are so your game. Even if you don't care about them, a lot of local game stores are supported by your game because of it. And if 50% of the people stop playing with real cards and go to Magic Online, that's 50% of the shops that lose their job. And that's not a great point on this. And people keep playing Magic Online, and people and they keep winning.
It's not. I don't want it to be like Hearthstone, that is really a online game, but I think just the interface and the global feel of it. Not the behind the scenes, like how it works to buy cards, and that it's not like you're just paying a subscription and you have every card you want. That's fine with me. I'm not a great online player. I really prefer to play in real life because I enjoy touching the cards. I enjoy the social experience behind it. Also talking with my with the opponent. But I think just a facelift, just to show that. I mean, the wizard side, the website is well made, So it's just that bothers me a little bit. Just this feeling of a 2002 internet program sometimes. That's the only thing. I'm not saying that you should push more people into the online world because obviously it would create less profit for wizards.
Yeah, so the, I think they're doing a new game on it. So right now they are working on a new Magic Online, which will be just the next edition of it. It's just the same, just with new things, because I think the director of Magic or whatever he is, it's a new guy who comes from a new, and he's doing a lot of change already.
Yeah, absolutely.
That will be a great game if they do it better, and they because they can do like Duels of Planeswalker or whatever name is this. It's a decent game. I have played a bit, and it's far better than Magic Online. And they will do in the future something like this, but they also have to take care of the community.
Yeah, of course.
You will have to make them play the new game, and you will also have them to not lose their cards, because most of people are afraid of it. Of if I have a huge collection of Magic Online and no one is gonna play Magic Online and everyone is gonna play the new game, I'm gonna lose my collection. I don't think they will do this.
No, I don't think neither. No,
they will change it to the new format, but let's see how this works.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe they will do it, because it's true that playing Magic Online is not the best, but it's okay. Just you're playing, but watching it, it's not great.
Yeah, it doesn't give a real.
Great.
Yeah, it's nothing fancy, nothing very nice to look at. But yeah, I think the future will tell us. Anyway, I just wanted to ask you another question for the last format we didn't talk about, Modern. So you're playing also Storm in Modern, I guess? Storm
Yes.
Everywhere? Storming. What do you think about Modern? How do you think is the metagame? How do you think are the changes that were made and the many bannings that happened?
So banning Itaxian Pro was great. I hate the card, but like
as you already said, yeah.
And I think the format, I have friends who like that the format is more of releasing cards. I'm more for, I don't care if they ban 100 or 200 cards, because you have so many. You have 10, 12,000 cards. So if 10 or 100 or 200 cards are banned, if the game goes more fun, it's better. Right now, I like in the next 6 months, I will ban some cards because there are some decks that are not fun to play against. So I think the Shadow is a card that is not fun to play against, and it, like Splinter Twin, it cuts out a lot of the format, because with Splinter Twin, any deck that was playing blue and red, not playing the twin combo was wrong. So
yeah,
you could play Blue Moon, you could play Rift's Control, but just having the twin package was better than not having it. So it forced all this deck out of the format, and it was really hard to play against twin. If you play against an opponent on blue-red, you never know if they had twin or not. So you have to play different if they have twin or if they have just non-twin deck. And on the dark, it was really difficult to play against. And then on their Shadow is doing the same. So there is no reason to play Junt, Grixis, whatever deck with their Shadow, because with their Shadow, it's far better.
Yeah,
You get a
yeah,
better mana base because shock landing yourself is like welcome.
yeah, of course.
You play more efficient cards. You just there's three decks that you cannot play as of today just because that shadow exists. You cannot play the Snapcaster Cryptic Command deck like Cory Pukat played in the last year. You cannot play Junt. You cannot play Junt because that shadow is just better at this. And then I think also that the Vizier deck and the Storm deck are really busted, which I will also ban something old because with the Storm deck I win on turn 3 a lot. Like every time you play on turn 2 Goblin effect, on turn 3 if it gets unanswered, you win the game. Because yeah, it's just this strong. And I think a card like Manamorphose or so will get banned because it's not great. And the Vizier deck is also really strong. It wins on turn 3 so many times with this infinite combo. Because they just play on turn 2 the elves and then just win the game.
Yeah, I know. I'm not playing any modern anymore, but we're still following the meta game, and I always kind of found myself on the case that, as you said, there are always these big decks that you need to play almost in order to have a chance, basically, to go any further in the tournament. You know, you have to play like a Death Shadow deck instead of another deck that Death Shadow is pushing out of the format because it's simply not the most efficient way to win. You know, and I don't like when you don't have the power to just not maybe invent a deck, but like just have the choice of playing maybe another deck that is also cool, but also can perform in a tournament. You know. I think it's very unfun if you always have only these decks that are working and you don't have any creativity inside this bubble.
Yeah, so I usually don't like to play like the best deck because I like to play the decks that I like. Just this time, for example, Storm is one of the best decks, so it's fine. But I have never been like I always play the deck that is the tier 1 just to because I usually like to play combo decks, and sometimes they're not better, they're not worse than others, but sometimes they're tier 2. But it's fine. You just play and see what happens. Sometimes that happened, for example, a few years with an awesome modern. I won a lot of tournaments with it, and it was not a tier 1, it was not a tier 2, it was just a random deck, but I knew how to beat the meta game. I knew how to exploit the weakness of my opponents not knowing my deck, and that came to lots of wins. So that's the deck that I have won more tournaments in my life. And then people started playing it. People started knowing where it's the points where you can lose to it or beat it. And also the metagame changed a bit. But really, I have never won more tournaments than with this crap deck. So I won 2 MKM series and I think 4 big tournaments in Spain.
Yeah, that's great.
Finals on them.
Yeah, that's a great point that you don't need necessarily to net deck only the tier 1 lists in order to stand a chance in the tournament. But I would like to know, maybe for the whole community, what for you are the most important aspects of a combo player? If people are interested in playing combo, not especially in vintage, it's all over the place. What are important aspects of a combo player for you? What are
Also, I think the biggest aspects on a combo player is to know when to go off.
Patience.
Patience, yeah, it's sometimes it's patience, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just knowing if reading your opponent if you can go off or not, or baiting them into make the plays. Sometimes I see a lot of combo players, for example, in Legacy, kill themselves with his Nausam, which I almost never do. So maybe I kill me myself one time off each 20 because they just want to win the turn. And I like to just, if I'm not that on board, just to pass the turn and then not tap and kill them. Because usually it's a matter of hand size because you can't discard all your hand because you didn't find an LED, or it's a matter of not having enough mana. So you just untap and kill them. And people kill them a lot with this. So I have played mirror matches where my opponent went for a nausea and they had not killed and killed themselves, but they could just target to a triple therapy me and rip my hand apart and then the next turn win. And they just keep flipping cards and dying.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I had a lot of trouble in the beginning playing combo was, yeah, the fact patience, but not only in terms of waiting. Sometimes you need to be quick because you can be quick and you have a good read on your opponent and you can go off, as you said. But yeah, often people want to win, but they don't really integrate that the deck is designed to win on one turn. So you can take a little bit of your time, especially when there's no aggression against you, or that you maybe can strip apart their hand and that your top deck will be better than theirs because they need more things in order to operate than you. You need maybe a top deck Past in Flames because you have enough lands on the battlefield so that you can go off again and just straight up kill them. And I think it's not easy to learn because when you're playing a creature based deck, often you need to go in while you can, while there's not much resistance. So you need to hurry a bit. Yeah, I think with Storm and other combo decks, you need to know to take a little bit of your time. Your life total becomes a real resource. I think it's very important to integrate that.
Yeah, it's something that's not easy to do because every game, every situation is different. But
Of course.
But learning this and like to make this automatically, like knowing I have to do this now and this later and this now, it's the plan there.
How important is it for you, or for somebody who is new? How important is it to know how to sequence your draw spells, being Ponder, Brainstorm, and Preordain in a combo deck?
So I think that's easy to learn. So if when you know it from the start, but I think, for example, in the problem is this is only for a Nauseam or discard decks, that the biggest choke point on knowing how to play Storm is not when to go off or when to cast your spells or when to cantrip or how to cantrip. The biggest problem is when to play your discard spells. I think that's the most difficult thing in the deck, and that's what I had to learn to be good with the deck. And the problem is that you have to know each matchup so that you know if you want to play your discard at the start of the game, in the mid game, in the late game. Because, for example, if you're playing against a show and tell deck, you want to cast your discards early. But sometimes you want to also, after you know that his hand is not a lot of gas, that he will not kill you, you want to play them at the end. For example, against a hard control blue deck without a real clock, you want to delay your discards to the end, because if your hand is not strong enough and you play a Duress on turn 1 and take his fossil will, they're gonna ponder and brainstorm and find another fossil will. So you did nothing. While if you wait on it and you casted the turn you are gonna win on the turn before, they will only have one turn to set up a new strong hand to defeat you.
Yeah, definitely. These are pretty difficult things that you need to learn based on experience, based on playing a lot the deck. I also, it was kind of funny when I also playing Storm, but I also play Sneak and Show, as I told you. And the sequencing, for example, for the draw spells is different because you have this controlish element in Sneak and Show because you're playing Force of Will, Spell Pierce, and all this stuff. Whereas with Storm, you're often playing like a Brainstorm on your turn isn't an exception, right?
I think I play more in Storm, more brainstorms in my turn than in my opponent's
Yeah,
turn.
of course, because you want to dig. You really want to dig in your deck, and you don't have to play on your opponent's turn. Whereas in other blue decks, your brainstorm is probably the most difficult card to know when to play it. When is it the most efficient? I mean, when I don't know how you will react to this, but when I see somebody playing not Storm or a combo deck or maybe even a Sneak and Show player playing a Brainstorm, they are on the play. They play their land, they fetch out of an island or a dual land to cast Brainstorm on their first turn.
No, also that's
and
so
then
you
I can't get behind it, and I saw it again on camera in a big tournament, and I was like, "What are you doing?" I mean, if you're digging for something, wait until your next turn because you will see one card deeper if really this is what you want to do.
Sometimes you have to do it because you have a problem with something, or your hand is really strong, so you just want, for example, if you want to play a turn to what will I say, Stoneforge Mystic, and you want to get a Force of Will, then you need to brainstorm there. If you want to, I had to do it because I last week, because I knew I was gonna play a turn to I don't know, any spell that I had to play, and I need to try to hit a land drop for turn 3, but I will not be able to do it on turn 2, and on turn 3 I need to curve out. So if I was able to play a 3-drop on turn 3, it will be better, because sometimes you have to do, but most of the times you don't.
Yeah, I think, but these are kind of the things you need to learn also on experience. But I think also this, when I have like Ponder, the choice between Ponder, Preordain, and Brainstorm in the starting hand, like it's also based on experience. What do I want to do? Because it's really depending how much pieces do I lack in my hand in order to go off, in order to kill. But each deck plays different. But I think that's really you think you need to read some articles and see how people also play the decks you're aspiring to play as a new player. I think it's very important. So for a Storm player, for a new player, what could you give as an advice? What would you say to them?
The best advice is to goldfish the deck a lot. It's a deck that lets you goldfish a lot. So you can play against yourself 10,000 games, and every game is gonna be different. Every game is gonna be interesting, but you need to deploy the muscle memory of your mana, for example, or how to play your cantrips, and also how to use your mana. How you, more than use your mana, count your mana, because you have to know that a Dark Ritual is +2, a Cavalry Ritual is +3, and you have to know that if you have, for example, Dark Ritual, LED, Heart in Flames, and Infernal Tutor, and you get Threshold with this, you kill your opponent. You have to know this. You have to see your hand and see, oh, I can do this, without even thinking about, without making the count. For example, when I play, sometimes I draw my hand and I see, I don't know why, but I know my opponent is dead. I don't know how I'm gonna do, but I know that from this, I'm gonna kill him. And then I start figuring how, because I know, you know what are your strong cards in your deck, and you know that if you have enough of them, he's dead. If you have and I don't know, a Dark Ritual, a Gitaxian Probe, a Brainstorm, an LED, and an Infernal, you know that there will some way that your opponent is dead. Yeah. Maybe it's an awesome, maybe it's passing flames, maybe it's just natural counter skill, but you have to know it. You have to see your hands and see, this hand does the job.
Are you okay with the fact that if a new player wants to pick up Storm, that he's confronting himself with maybe the most difficult deck in Legacy to really master in order to. I think it's not if you're asking someone what do you want to play, I want to play combo. Would you say play Storm because it's easy to get on, or take Storm because once you know it and once you play it well, you will have basically endless fun with it because, as you said, the games are never the same because the way you go off is completely different from game to game to game to game. Whereas in other combo decks, as you said, it's show and tell into a big fatty, and that's it. That's always the way how you will win.
Yeah, with Storm, you will win a lot of games by playing with your opponent. Instead with Chantel, where you just play your cards out and see what happens. So I played Chantel a lots of years, and the problem is that Chantel has a peak point where you can go this far. The deck cannot do better
Yeah.
with your skill. The problem is with Storm, the more skill you have, the more reads you have on your opponent, the better you can cast your spells in what order to cast them and what the more better results you get. And yes, I would recommend a new player to play Storm. They play a lot of games against himself, and the thing with Chantel is the easy deck that just wins. Do you know you have to put this card with this and you win the game, and then but when you have learned the deck really a lot, you can't get better.
Yeah.
While with Storm, every day you play it, you will gain more experience and be better with it. I have a friend in Spain who Javier, who is playing the deck since half year, and I'm teaching him. Sometimes he does what I say, sometimes not. Usually when he does better, but sometimes he thinks that not not doing what I say, it's better for him. I don't know why. But
listen to your master.
yeah. The problem is he thinks that some plays are good because in the past they worked for him.
Yeah.
If it worked in the past, it can be the right play. It can also be the wrong play, but it has not to work every time. So I think people playing Magic does this a lot. They place in a bad situation the wrong card or the wrong line, and they win and they think it's right. While if it's wrong, it's wrong, and it maybe work. How many games has everyone won by misplaying a lot? Like yeah, you just got the situation where this bad play was the best. For example, GP Vegas, a friend on Blue Red Delver, for some reason sided in surgical against burn.
It's an interesting concept. Let's say it like this.
and he won a game because he was dead on the next turn, and his opponent had played an ensnaring bridge, and he had sided out the Gitaxian probes for the surgical extraction, and his opponent was on 4 life, and he had 2 Provost creators. So he needed to attack through his bridge and then surgical post attack so that the Provost creators go big and kill him. And with Gitaxian Probe, he will not be able to do so. But that's wrong. You have not to side in the surgical against burn because it's a really bad card.
Yeah, definitely.
And I needed 2 days of speaking to him to convince him that the play was bad, even if he won.
Yeah, I think it's an important point that you make, that sometimes you will make the wrong play but still get the game, and thinking that you're just maybe the most inventive Magic player of all because you won with a weird situation with a weird card that shouldn't be there. Yeah, but I think it's important also to have some kind of mentor, for we all had it. I mean, I think when you were at school, you played maybe with older guys at the shop, and they taught you how to do this, how to do that, and you listen, and maybe sometimes you don't listen, as you said, with your friends. Sometimes they don't listen, but it's important to soak in some of this information in order to see these things afterwards. And also, I think a great way today is look at your matches. I mean, there are so many shops that are filming now with the webcam. We are doing it as a team. We're constantly filming the matches because simply when you see yourself play, sometimes you say, what the heck have I done? I don't know why I did it. And so you're thinking more about it. And I think this is a pretty cool thing. Yeah, Rodrigo, anything to add for a new player?
No, I think that's almost everything.
Yeah, great. So it was very great to have you. So it was interesting. I think always great to have such a nice player as you are, and a great insight on one of the more complicated decks in the format.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Thank you a lot.